Okay, so let's set the scene. We're in Alexandria, Egypt. The year is 2014.
And it's late, around 11 o'clock at night in a quiet working-class building.
Exactly. You know the kind of place where everything has a rhythm, a routine? You know when your neighbors come and go?
You know when the lights go out, and anything that breaks that rhythm, you notice it immediately.
And on this night, that quiet is just shattered by a sound that makes no sense for that time of night.
The building's water pump motor.
Right, this loud industrial roar coming from the top floor apartment.
And that sound is the first clue. It's not just noise, it's a calculated move. At 11 p.m., that kind of sound is completely abnormal. It suggests someone wants to drown something else out.
So the neighbors hear this pump. It's incredibly loud. And then just moments later, things inside that apartment escalate fast.
They hear running, frantic footsteps back and forth.
And then a quarrel. A really violent, ugly argument between the couple who live there, Mohammed and Mona.
And you have to remember, this was a quiet couple. They'd only been married 9 months. The neighbors had never heard a peep out of them.
So to go from total silence to this eruption of violence, it's the shock.
It signals that something has been boiling under the surface for a very, very long time.
Okay, so this terrifying argument rages for about half an hour. Imagine being a neighbor, wide awake, listening to this.
It must have felt like an eternity.
And then, around 11:30, the shouting stops.
And it's replaced by a single high-pitched scream.
That's the moment everything changes. Mona, the wife, appears at the window.
Partially clothed, drenched in blood, and she's begging them, screaming at the neighbors below to save her from Mohammed.
They don't even think, they run. They rush up the stairs to that apartment.
But when they get to the door, they can't get in.
Which is strange, right? I mean, it's described as a flimsy door. It should have been easy to kick in.
But it wouldn't budge, and for a moment they're confused, and then they realize he's barricaded it.
From the inside.
Yeah.
He pushed a huge, heavy wardrobe against it.
This wasn't just keeping them out. This was him buying time. Time to finish what he'd started without anyone getting in his way.
When they finally break through, forcing the door and this cabinet aside, the scene is...
It's pure chaos and pure malice. Mohammed is standing right there in the hall.
And he's not done. He's holding a gas cylinder.
A propane tank. And he threatens to blow up the entire building if they come any closer.
It means it. Almost immediately, he ignites a fire.
Yeah, and it just starts consuming the apartment, this small 80-square-meter space.
So now you have emergency services arriving, police, fire, ambulance. They manage to get the fire under control.
But the whole place is just filled with this thick, choking smoke.
And once that smoke starts to clear, they begin to see the horror of what actually happened in there.
They find Mohammed first. He's in the bedroom, unconscious from smoke inhalation.
And on the bed is Mona.
She's dead, lying in a pool of blood. The knife is on the floor nearby.
But there's one detail that immediately stands out to the investigators. Something that screams, this wasn't just a fight that got out of hand.
He was wearing a glove.
A glove?
And when they checked the murder weapon, there were no fingerprints on it at all.
That suggests planning. A desire to cover his tracks. It's chilling.
It completely changes the story from the very beginning.
Before we dig into the forensics, though, we have to understand the people. And more than that, we need to understand the psychological pattern that was at play here.
Absolutely. So Mona, she was only 21 years old.
And 7 months pregnant.
Yeah. By all accounts, she was just this kind, devout woman, a Quran tutor. Everyone in the building, even though she'd only been there 9 months, they loved her.
And her life and her child's life just gone.
And then there's Mohammed. He's 38. He'd lived in that same apartment for over 10 years.
He'd been married before, right?
Right. That marriage ended in divorce just a year earlier. And when the police started talking to neighbors, asking about him, one word kept coming up.
Shakak.
Very suspicious.
And this wasn't just, normal jealousy.
Oh, no, this was pathological. This pervasive poisoning doubt was the single reason his first marriage collapsed.
How extreme are we talking?
So extreme that he actually questioned the paternity of his own 2 children from that marriage. His ex-wife just couldn't live like that anymore under that constant suffocating suspicion, so she left.
So when Mona's family agrees to this second marriage, they see a man with a small apartment, modest income.
Kind, traditional people, they accepted his circumstances, but they made one huge, catastrophic mistake.
They didn't ask why the first marriage ended?
Exactly. They never inquired about the real reason. They probably assumed it was just incompatibility. They completely missed the giant flashing red light that everyone else in the community saw.
That this man wasn't just suspicious, he was pathologically paranoid.
And that pathology is what builds this terrifying alternate reality that leads directly to murder.
Okay, so let's try to map that out. Let's get inside the world he was building in his head, because it starts almost right after the wedding.
It does. Within the first month or two, Mona starts noticing these strange rituals. Like
Okay.
what? Every day he'd come home from work and he'd immediately check the balcony, the kitchen, the bathroom, systematically.
Like he was looking for something.
Or someone.
Exactly. He couldn't say what, but he was searching. It was a clear sign of his paranoia just taking root.
And then came the catalyst, the thing that made it all spiral.
And it was so incredibly mundane. It was a single phone call.
From Mona's cousin, who, by coincidence, is also named Mohammed.
Right. The cousin was just calling late to congratulate them on the marriage. That's it.
But for Mohammed, the husband, this wasn't a congratulatory call.
For him, it was instant, undeniable proof that she was having an affair.
And that's when his reality it completely breaks from ours.
It fractures. His world becomes filled with what he calls evidence. Phantom evidence that only he can see or hear.
So what kind of things?
Well, he claimed he started getting these weird calls on Mona's phone. A man would curse him and then hang up.
But no one else heard these calls. Never verified. Then he starts seeing shadows moving on the balcony. He'd rush out there, find nothing, but be so convinced that he forbade Mona from even going out there anymore.
He's literally creating proof out of thin air to support his delusion.
Precisely. And it's a classic persecutory delusion. He said he'd hear knocking, running on the stairs, and then see the shadow again. It's a world closing in on him that isn't real.
At some point, Mona couldn't take it anymore. She went to her father's house.
Yeah, she packed her bags. And the father tried to mediate. He even brought the cousin over to explain. They all confirmed. It was one phone call. Just one.
And Muhammad seemed to accept it.
He apologized. He said it was just extreme jealousy, that he loved her so much. And Mona, maybe hoping he could change, went back home.
But of course, the delusion didn't go away.
It just got stronger. The next piece of evidence came from Mona herself, trying to be open with him.
What did she say?
She just casually mentioned that years ago, as a teenager, she'd written letters and poems to a first love in some old school notebooks. And that boy's name was Muhammad.
Oh, no.
For him, that was it. That was the final nail in the coffin.
He thinks it's about the cousin.
Absolutely. He waits for her to fall asleep. He searches the apartment, finds these old papers addressed to Muhammad, and in his mind, it confirms everything. The affair is real and ongoing.
And then he creates the ultimate piece of evidence. The smoking gun.
The recorded confession. He claims he hid an audio recorder near the computer.
And what did he claim was on it?
He claimed he captured a recording of Mona on the phone with her cousin, arranging to meet up, talking about his work schedule, saying they'd arrange everything soon. He had, in his own mind, a perfect, airtight case against his 7-month pregnant wife.
A case based on nothing.
And that belief, that absolute certainty, is what leads to that final horrific night.
According to his story to the police, he confronted her with all this evidence, the books, the recording.
And he claimed that she attacked him.
A 7-month pregnant woman attacked him.
He said she hit him on the head and hand with a knife, and that he was only acting in self-defense, that he had to wash the shame.
Which led him to stab her repeatedly. That was his narrative.
The story of a wronged husband defending his honor.
Okay, so that is the elaborate, horrific illusion he built. Now, let's shatter it. Let's talk about the cold, hard forensic truth.
Let's start with Mona's body. The forensic report is... it's difficult to hear.
The number of wounds.
She was stabbed between 70 and 80 times.
70.
Huh.
T80. On a pregnant woman.
Yes. That number alone tells you everything. This isn't a strike in self-defense. This isn't a momentary loss of control.
This is a systematic execution.
It is. Overwhelming force, total control from the attacker. And critically, there were no defensive wounds on her at all.
Meaning she didn't fight back. She couldn't.
She was likely resting, completely exhausted when he began. And here's the fact that just vaporizes his entire story.
His injuries.
He had 0 injuries, none. No cut on his head, no wound on his hand, nothing.
So the self-defense claim is it's just physically impossible.
Constantly, medically impossible. Gone.
Okay, so his story about the act itself is a lie. What about the motive? The months of evidence he collected.
That is the grand delusion. The investigation went looking for all of it.
And what did they find?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. There were no love letters, no relevant old school books, no witnesses who saw any shadows, no phone records of strange calls.
And the audio recording, the supposed confession?
They examined the device. There was no such recording. There was nothing incriminating on it at all.
All of it. The calls, the shadows, the letters, the recording.
It was all a complete fabrication, a complex, systematic delusion that existed only inside his mind. He wasn't reacting to a threat. He was acting on a fantasy.
And he acted with premeditation.
Terrifying premeditation. You just have to look at the facts. He wore the gloves so he'd leave no prints.
He turned on that loud water motor.
To drown out her screams.
And he used that heavy wardrobe to block the door.
To make sure the neighbors, who he knew would be coming, couldn't stop him from finishing his plan.
So what does this all mean for us? This isn't just a murder. Mona and her unborn child were lost because of complete, catastrophic failure of mental health.
This wasn't a crime of jealousy as we normally think of it. This was a man suffering from an extreme, unaddressed paranoid delusion who executed a person based on a reality he invented.
And the implication for you, for anyone listening, it comes back to that crucial mistake Mona's family made.
A mistake anyone could make. The investigation confirmed it. The entire community knew he was not normal. They knew about his profound suspicion.
But the family saw a quiet man, an average guy. They didn't look any deeper.
They never asked the one question that would have saved her life. Why did the first marriage really end? They treated the symptom, the divorce, but they never saw the deadly disease underneath.
It just raises such an important question.
It does. How often do these deeply ingrained, destructive psychological patterns, this kind of delusional suspicion, go completely unaddressed? How many people walk among us living in their own terrifying realities?
And what happens to the innocent people who get too close, who fail to look past that superficial assessment of character and history?
The murder of Mona and her unborn child is just a brutal reminder. The unseen worlds people build in their own minds can be far more dangerous than any threat you can actually see. The vetting process can't just be about finances or status. Sometimes it has to be about survival.